going on, guys? It's your boy Hatter from the FFL, and we got my dude, a special guest from Fantasy Pros, Mister Andrew Hall. What's going on, brother?
Oh, it's everything's going on. This is the time of year when just it feels like nothing isn't going on. So it's going well, and I'm glad to be here, my friend.
For sure, it's that time of the year. You know what I'm saying? It's time of the itch, right?
Yeah,
And when I said that, you started itching. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Jones
telling
and
you,
man. Yeah,
I'm telling you. So, hey man, how's it going with Fantasy Pros? How's it writing those articles, man? How's everything going?
it's going well. Yeah, I do a lot of dynasty stuff. I do a lot of stash articles and trade advice articles and mock drafts and all that. And again, this is the time of year when everybody's coming and looking for advice and looking for help. I try
Right.
to help everybody. I try to help everybody that asks me for help. But obviously, I'm just one person, so it's nice to have a bunch of people out here to kind of all help everybody together. That's what I always try to say. I'm just one opinion. I am
For
not
sure.
an expert. I'm not an somebody who does this for a living. This is my side hustle, but I have a
Right.
good time with it. I do some research. I do some studying. I feel like it pays off pretty well. And again, I always just say, I'm not here to run your team. I'm just here to help you with a decision. Like, I can't make every decision for you, but I'll give my opinion.
Telling you, and obviously, you and me, we're kind of veterans in the game, right? And some
Yeah.
cats come up and they send us a PM and and they get mad. Hey man, look man, why aren't you helping me out? You gave me a bad advice last year and all that. It's like, man, listen, we, like you were saying, we can only do so much. We have our own opinion. We give it out. It's your choice. You want to take it or not take it. You know what I mean? You take your own path, and that's the thing about fantasy, man. It's all about luck. It's all about everyone's opinion. So in fantasy, we do what we can, right?
Yeah.
Now, speaking of fantasy, a lot of things this year, man. I mean, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I mean, for me, I feel like this year is a different type of year. It's harder with the whole running back situations coming in. Oh my gosh. I mean, what to do there, right? And obviously, there's only these few guys now that's up there in the first round, like Bijan or Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry.
McCaffrey. Yeah.
Yeah, those are kind of solid opinions, right? Um, when it comes to, like, let's say JT or even Josh Jacobs,
Mm.
what do you think people should do with them when they come to drafting them, in general?
Just hold on, man. Like honestly, if you're gonna draft any one of those guys, just hold your breath. Like just hold on to your faith. Just kind of do your best to kind of close your eyes, click that draft button, and move on. I think a lot of times people get kind of name recognition matters. They get kind of stuck in this name, and like Jonathan Taylor is a great asset. Don't get me wrong; he's got top overall running back potential, and I think that's his ceiling. But with the holdout potential, his floor could be running back 48. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you might hold out for a couple weeks or play 6 weeks and then hold out. Or I mean, running backs tend to get injured, so like you got to make sure you balance that risk versus the reward. And I think a
Right.
lot of we're seeing, I think now a lot of drafters, a lot of people that are in the content creation business kind of pivot to receivers because it's
Right.
not quite as risky, or at least it doesn't feel as risky. Receivers definitely have a chance of getting hurt just as much as running backs in a mathematical sense, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like receivers tend to be a little bit more, smaller injuries. They might miss some
Right.
games, but it doesn't feel as devastating. When if you're a running back, you're taking hits every game. You got players like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, all these guys that have just been able to survive. But we saw it last year with a little bit with Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler, like missing some time here and there. So I feel like it's just feels riskier drafting a running back, but I'm not ever going to fault somebody for doing that, right? If that's what you want to do, then go for it. But the other thing that I always come back to is running backs at the top are very different than running backs at the bottom, but not nearly as different as the receiver group. You can still find some good running backs that you might end up starting in your flex spot in the later rounds. Receivers, I feel like it drops off a cliff even faster and bigger than usual. After about 30 receivers, there's really nobody I like. You know what I mean? It just kind of it gets bleak. So I don't mind drafting running backs early, but I much prefer drafting receivers early so that I can get running backs late and feel like I've got a good balance to my team.
And for sure, and in Andrew, like you were saying there, I mean, if obviously, if a wide receiver gets hurt, what are the chances the next man up is even going to perform, right? I
Right.
mean, if you got a running back and like you were saying later rounds, you get a backup to some of these running backs who like Josh Jacobs or JT, or even some running backs who are injury prone. You got a backup over there, that's playing, and you get him later in the round, like you sneak him in. I mean, that could be a league winner. I mean, if that main guy gets injured, there you go. So I do condone that as well. And some of these wide receivers that are coming out, obviously, Adams getting hurt weeks ago in the practice, and Cooper Cup as well. Obviously, I also condone drafting late. I don't know about your thoughts on that.
Well, so you're talking about like waiting until the last minute to draft your league, right? Doing something like.
Right, like a week before or after preseason over and all that.
I don't mind that at all. I don't mind waiting, but the trick and the reality of the situation, I guess, is that no two leagues are alike, right? And
Right,
especially if you're doing the home league where you've got all your buddies and you want to gather around and have some beers, your schedules may not line up, right? With the way the season starts right around that Labor Day weekend, sometimes you got people that are entirely free and available that weekend, and sometimes you get people that are, going on week-long vacations or something before school starts. You never know.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
always think that makes it different too. If you're doing an online draft, I prefer a slow draft myself. And I don't mind waiting until like about now, really, to start a slow draft because it takes about a week in most situations. So again, if
Right.
you're going to do that, something as long as you're all on the same page and are all kind of going by the same rules, I don't see a problem with that. But you're not wrong. I mean, waiting is definitely better. I would say that. But if you don't wait, it affects everybody in the draft equally. So it's kind of like an
Yeah.
equal risk we all take on. And it kind of makes it, in a way, a little bit more exciting to, see if you can dodge those bullets like in the Matrix. You know what I mean? If you're drafting in
For
early August or July, it's like, oh, so far so good. Like it makes it kind of more exciting to watch and kind of know what team you have, I guess, as you go through these preseason games too.
Exactly. I agree on that too. I mean, obviously some people are going crazy right now. They're like, "Oh man, I can't believe this happened, that happened," and obviously Dalvin Cook, big news, getting
Ooh,
signed, and people,
yeah,
dynasty league people, drafting Brees Hall, and now they, pooping in their pants, right? And it is what it is. So I mean,
yeah,
I always condone that too, to always kind of draft a little, week before September and it starts and stuff like that. But Andrew, man, let me ask you one thing, and I know you know the answer of this. Like you have to know this answer.
oh boy, no pressure.
What are three things certain in life?
Death, taxes, and running backs getting hurt. I know players getting hurt.
That too, that too, and number 85 is always gonna be open, man.
Damn right.
So
That's right. That's a good
that's
one. That's a good one.
that's it. And listen, man, Ocho Cinco and his ratings on Madden be hilarious, man. But speaking of Ocho Cinco, man, you are a Bengals fan, and obviously I feel for you, bro. I mean, listen, the ball was coming to my boy, my former boy, P. Ryan, and when I saw that P. Ryan was on that field, it was the Dan Snyder curse, man. It was just a curse.
Oh,
I was like, man, he okay. Listen, if P. Ryan was there, I just saw a smidge on the TV. I said that's not gonna be a catch. It's just not because the whenever a former Redskin commander, whatever the hell you want to say, goes, the bad luck follows, brother. So I was like, I feel, I was like, man, I feel for my boy Andrew, but it is what it is, right?
yeah,
Listen,
yeah,
they did something amazing. Still, went to the Super Bowl. I mean, listen, bro. I mean, Bengals and Commanders. Come on, we kind of cut from this. We two peas in the pot, right?
that's it. Yep.
We never saw any type of success since who knows what, you know. And he comes over there, and they make a very good push. They go to the Super Bowl, and I feel like you guys have everything in play. What do you think? Some of the things you guys need to prove on from your perspective.
Well, again, as a Bengals fan and a fantasy analyst or fantasy fan, I always look at it from both of those different lenses at the same time. I think that what our defense has been able to do without really having locked in studs this offseason so far has been pretty good. I mean, obviously we lost Von Bell and Jesse Bates, two big safeties that were both very instrumental in the build of our team. But I think we've still got a really good secondary. We got Battle. We got I can't remember the guy's name now. I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, we got some pretty good safeties still back in there, so I think we're going to be all right. So I tend to go defense on all that if I'm thinking where we need to improve, but that's just where every team needs to improve, right? I think the other thing that I would love to see us improve on is the play action. I know Burrow doesn't generally like play action. We don't tend to have a lot of, I don't know, plays designed that way. I think some of that was because of his shortened off seasons the past couple of years. And again, now he's got another calf injury that's keeping him out. So I'd like to see them work some of that in the early part of the year. And then from a fantasy side, I would love to see us improve in scoring, 75 points a game. That'd be amazing. Like, could you imagine just dominating like that? I mean, this offense is built for it. So I would love to see that improve.
It definitely is. I mean, you got the three musketeers there. I mean, you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong.
Yep.
So,
and I want to see Irv Smith do something. Like, I want to see him become the guy that he should be. And so, like that could be a huge improvement. So, yeah, there's a bunch of different places I'm looking excited this year.
Exactly, and then obviously, you have to admit, Burrow, obviously he got hurt. That was very terrible to see for you, me, fantasy owners, what have you. I mean, he is coming back week 4, they're projecting. Now, do you think that takes some type of points away from Jamar Chase for the first couple of weeks?
Well, I want to start with this. I think some of that is bluster. I think some of that is gamesmanship because we play the Browns and the Ravens the first 2 weeks. So I think some of that is them just kind of saying, no, I don't plan on Burrow being out there. He's not going to make it. And that kind of lets the Browns put them on their heels and say, all right, well, Burrow's not going to be there. We don't need to worry. I think Burrow plays. I think he comes in and plays week 1 is entirely fine. There have been
breaking news.
There have been conflicting reports for a few weeks even now about how many weeks he could miss. The initial report I thought was something along the lines of 5 to 6 weeks from the injury that he might miss. Well, 5 to 6 weeks was week 1. Like that was September 10th. It was 6 weeks. So like even at an aggressive even a conservative, I guess, return schedule going 6 weeks, he should still be okay for week 1. And then last week, I think it was Jamar Chase came out saying he's probably going to miss a few games. And I think that's Jamar Chase playing games. I've said it to other people. So I don't know. I cannot predict injury. It's the one thing we cannot predict in this game. That's what I mentioned was the other thing that we, what are the 3 things you guarantee? That injuries are going to happen, right? Yeah. I personally, though, think Burrow is still out there. He's throwing the ball. He's on the sideline in a preseason game. I think he wants to play. Of course he wants to play. And he's wanting a contract. I don't think it's in anybody's best interest for him to miss time. So, again, I have heard that. If that happens, I'll go with that. If that happens, I wouldn't be shocked to see Chase's numbers come down a little bit with Trevor Siemian or whoever we decide to put in there. There's been some rumors about signing Carson Wentz, which would just be hilarious to me. I would have much rather had Bridgewater myself.
Please.
Listen, I know you have an opinion on Carson.
Don't talk about Carson Wentz, bro.
I know. That's when you know you're desperate.
I blasted him in the last podcast,
right,
bro.
So I know you have an opinion.
Andrew, did you see his recent freaking Instagram picture, bro?
Not really. No, I don't pay attention.
Okay, listen. I want you to go on Instagram.
Okay, I'm doing it right now.
I want you to see his recent Instagram picture and tell me your opinions on that. Just tell me your opinion.
Is it good or bad? Just can you warn me?
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's like he's acting as if he won like freaking more Super Bowls than Tom Brady. Like this, just look at it.
I'm pulling it up, but I will while I'm doing this, because I think this is going to be very, very funny already. While I'm doing this, I do think Carson Wentz is a bad idea. I just want to put it that way.
It's a very,
I remember seeing this. Okay, yeah, I saw.
Yeah, what's wrong with this guy?
Back in the lab, like look,
back in the lab. What lab are you talking about? Why are you doing this, bro? Why are you running 3 different team type of thing, acting like you took us to the playoffs or to the Super Bowl? Like, dude, you didn't win your own Super Bowl, bro.
You know what?
Nick Foles, who's probably pushing cars at Walmart right now, is the one that won the damn Super Bowl for you. And you over here talking about back in the lab. No one wants you in the lab. No one wants you even in the team. Bro, please. And I'm praying, bro, that you guys don't sign him because, man, listen.
I don't want him either. I've said it before. I'll say it now. Like, I don't want him either. I think Burrow plays, and I think Siemian could be an okay backup if he does miss some time. But at that point, whoever we get isn't going to be much better than that anyway. There's nobody out there. You know what? I did mention this to somebody else, and I mentioned it, I think, on another podcast too. Like the thing I would like to see the Bengals do is send like a 5th round pick for Malik Willis and add somebody to that backfield that could sit and learn behind Burrow. Burrow's got some legs. He got some wheels a little bit. I think Willis would actually do really well to study on a team like this. And honestly, all you need to do is get the ball to Chase 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage, and it can be a touchdown. And I think Malik Willis has the skills to do that if we were to need that. So I do think Malik Willis as a third quarterback in Tennessee right now behind Tannehill and Levis. I think Willis is the guy that's the easiest guy to get. And I think he's the lowest cost with the highest upside. So that's who I've been kind of advocating for. I am not part of the Brown family. They don't listen to me. The Blackburns, they don't listen to me. So I'm saying like I'm just putting it out there into the ether, but I would love to see that happen. And if that comes true, we're going to link the heck out of this because I called it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm telling you, Andrew, and the thing is, Malik Willis is getting disrespected
Yeah.
from what I think in
Yep.
that organization with the Titans. I mean,
Yep.
like all the reports coming out, like, bro, man, I'll be surprised if they even let him eat in the cafeteria. I mean,
I keep feeling his badge is just going to not work, right? They're like,
I'm
oh,
telling
sorry, buddy. Totally forgot about you.
I'm telling you, and it's just like, bro, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like Willis needs to be respected. He did a lot of work to go where where he is right now, and that'd be amazing. I would love to see that. And obviously, I feel like your offense is going to be good. I think it'll be fine. Obviously your defense. I mean, like you said, everyone's
going to be top 5, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, top 5. Yeah, top 5. When I say fine, I barely say fine. So when fine comes out of my mouth, listen, I'm never going to tell you that my Commander's offense is going to be fine. We're doo-doo. We're doo-doo. But we have to be fine this year because we got EB in the building. And the enemy is going to be there. And we're going to turn things around. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny that you and me talking about this mutual friendship about our team. Because, listen, Bengals and Commanders, we don't got much beef going on, right?
No. The only beef I recall, and maybe I'm wrong in remembering this, but I remember it was like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 8 years ago. I don't remember when it was. We had that international game that ended in a tie. I'm almost certain that was against the Commanders or the Redskins.
That's what it was.
That's the only beef I have is that we were so equally bad at the time. Neither one of us could even decide to win. So we have a shared bad, if that helps.
That was one of a bad. Another bad was about 15 years ago when Kelly Washington did his famous squirrel dance over a Redskins receiver in preseason. I don't know if you remember.
I don't, but I want to look that one up too. But I'll look that one up after.
I know you remember Kelly Washington though in his squirrel dance. You need to look that one up.
I didn't know he did it over top a Redskins.
He did, and then Ocho Cinco was actually doing an interview on the sideline while that was happening, and he was just hyping him up more. It was just bad, bro. But listen,
looking at that.
It was funny. It was funny, but yeah, man. I mean, I can't wait for obviously fantasy to start and the first game. But man, listen, I gotta ask you, Andrew, your feedback on big name quarterbacks. When to pick them, in what round? What do you think, Allen, Mahomes? If you're gonna pull the trigger, if you do, what round would you do it?
Well, in my opinion, I don't mind waiting until you have, 4 or 5 players on your roster to take a quarterback, just because I feel like the difference at that top tier isn't as much as it used to be. It used to kind of be Mahomes and then a tier break and then like 3 or 4 guys and a tier break. Now I think you can almost lump like 6 or 7 guys into the same nebulous tier because even at the top, the guys still have question marks, right? You've got Mahomes, you got Allen, you got Burrow, you got Hurts, you got Lamar, you got Herbert. There's all these guys that are kind of launching themselves into that second tier. And in my opinion, Mahomes is still worthy of that second tier alone. But again, there are people that put Hurts above them or Allen above or like somebody else. And so in my mind, there is no consensus like there used to be, which also means, and I've said this many times when drafting, I love tier-based drafting. I love taking those sheets, like the ranking sheets, and then kind of drawing a line where I feel like there is a definite difference. And then as I'm going through my draft and checking off players, I'm like, all right, well, who's left in this tier? If there's one guy left in this tier of running backs, but 6 guys left in this tier of receivers, I'm taking the running back, right? Like that way you're getting the best value. I do the same with quarterback. So if I can get the 6th, 7th, or even 8th quarterback, if you want to count like Lawrence in there or Fields, who I think is kind of rising in the ranks too. Like if you can get one of those guys in the 6th round, I think you're still very happy with that team. And I'd rather have that and the better running back than take Mahomes or Allen in the 2nd or 3rd and then end up with a, kind of a crappier flex option in that 5th, 6th, 7th round. The only other thing I'll say, and this is, again, it's not backed by science, it's pure vibes. It's just vibes. I love stacking when I can just because it makes my day easier when following teams. And also
Right.
it's much more of a risk reward kind of thing. And I like playing that way. Not everybody does, but if I stack Burrow and Higgins or Burrow and Chase, I'm going to have to take him a little bit earlier than consensus to make sure I get that stack, right? And I
For
know
sure.
best ball is where everybody does this, but I don't think you really have the opportunity in some cases to stack Kelsey and Mahomes unless you go 1-2. Unless you go at the eighth pick, you go Kelsey, and then coming back around, he's still there, you get Mahomes. There's really nobody left to stack with for Mahomes,
Right.
right?
Right.
Hurts, you can get Hurts and AJ Brown early on. You can do Herbert, and if you think Mike Williams or Keenan Allen is a guy, you can wait a little on them. But like stacking is where it gets to be kind of fun, and that's actually where mock drafting is the way to go. And this is
Right.
big time mock draft season. I'm doing a ton of mock drafts myself. I'm running them on Fantasy Pros Discord server every Wednesday. We're probably doing another one today, actually, at 4 o'clock Eastern. We try to jump in there and do those, but obviously check on that Discord. There's always people running mock drafts, and this is the time of year to grind. This is that lesson you can learn. And say, all right, what if I do take Mahomes in the second round? How bad does my team look? What if I wait and I get Herbert in the fifth? How good does my
Right.
team look? Right. So that's
Right.
kind of where I like to plan that. But yeah, I generally don't like taking quarterbacks too early.
I definitely agree on that. I mean, like you were saying, if you do that, you're gonna have a crappy flex option later on. And, it pulls our hair out during the season trying to pick up the waivers and trying to get the right guy. So yeah, I definitely agree on that. And I know, Andrew, what you're gonna say for this answer, but because I mean, let's not be biased though. Who do you think is the best stack
Well,
this
okay.
year?
I guess if you're going to go with best stack, in my opinion, it should be what's the best priced stack, right? Or
Right.
what's like the best stack that lets your team still be good around it. Obviously,
Right.
I'm going to be biased and say a Chase Burrow stack is my favorite, but I know it's not the best. I know
Right.
that's not like the best way to do a stack, right? I mean, you could look at a Justin Fields, DJ Moore stack as quote unquote the best stack because they're both going in the later rounds in a lot of drafts. I mean, you could get DJ Moore in the fourth and Justin Fields in the fifth and have
Yeah.
a stack that you feel pretty good about
Very reasonable,
and still
right?
have four other studs you drafted ahead of them. So I feel like that's kind of where it depends on what you like and what your team is and what your kind of opinion of stacking is. I also think that there are some really interesting stacks you can get with dirt cheap quarterbacks. Like you can go with a Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and then get Desmond Ritter in the 15th round kind of stack, right? So there's a whole bunch
Right.
of different ways you can stack whatever offense you think is going to be good. Obviously, you've got the top offenses like the Bills and the Chiefs and all these guys. Those are going to be expensive stacks. I kind of like those mid to late round stacks because I feel like you still get that value and that benefit of a stack without having as much of the risk, right? You still get it's more reward than risk. So again, that's kind of what I like as what I would call the best. Even though the one in my heart, the one in my dreams, my favorite stack gotta be that Chase Burrow stack. But yeah, that's
Oh,
not what
yes, sir.
a lot of people would
Yes, sir.
love that too. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
that's just an expensive one, and I don't know if you want to go that route.
No, I definitely do think as well. Obviously that Burrow and Chase, and then like you were saying, mid round stack would also, I would say, Garrett Wilson and Aaron
Wilson and
Rodgers.
Rodgers. Yeah, that's a
Right.
great one. I think Wilson's going
That's
to
a
be a
great one.
guy this year, and I think Aaron Rodgers is he's ready to play. It seems like them
Oh yeah.
getting Dalvin Cook is a big thing, and I think that shows that they're willing to put offensive weapons on this field on this team. I mean,
Right.
Garrett Wilson's going to get a ton of balls because I mean, just
For sure.
behind him, you've got what Corey Davis, Alan Lazard, the ghost of Randall Cobb. You know what I mean? Like, there's just nobody else there. So yeah, I love a Wilson Rodgers stack if I can pull that off. That's a great one.
For sure. And then obviously, they're kind of, like people are saying, Aaron Rodgers, he kind of looks a little young, man. He's happy. He's happy to be out and
Rejuvenated, yeah.
rejuvenated. He got the 60K chain on. Come on, you can't go wrong with that. So I feel like this could be that rejuvenation year for him. But Andrew, man, I appreciate you coming up on my show and giving your thoughts, amazing going in depth about this year's fantasy season.
Sure.
Go follow him on Instagram, and he's the only guy that has all his social media the same name. So
Yes.
that's the OG right there. Andrew Hall FF. Go follow him on all social media accounts. Appreciate you, bro, and good luck this season in your leagues, brother.
Thanks so much. You too. And I'll say it to anybody else. Like, feel free to tag me in polls, send me DMs. I do my best. Sometimes I get busy. Sometimes I've got real life like we all do. And there's nothing more annoying than somebody sending you something on Sunday morning at 11:50 and saying, who should I start? I'm like, man, I got 27 lineups to set. I don't have time to answer all those questions at the last minute. So I always tell people, hit me up on Saturday. I try to get to it late Saturday, Sunday morning. But on Sunday mornings, let's be honest, we're all busy. I'll do my best, but you cannot be upset when someone doesn't respond to you. You know what I mean? Like, just we're all humans, buddy. We're all humans. And not you. I'm saying your listeners, anyone out there. Like, Just
Right.
take a deep breath. Whatever you decide will be the right decision. And yes, let's have a great year. I'm excited for this fantasy football season.
For sure. And I think I might need to add that ending in a snippet because, hey, you're my PNs be getting busted up. So I definitely agree on that. Thanks again, brother. Go follow me on YouTube and subscribe at youtube.com at the FFL and my Instagram, the FFL official. Appreciate it, guys. Stay tuned for more.